Welcome to Oakland Connection. I'm your host, Tim Burns. Almost all of us know somebody who's been impacted negatively by the economy. Maybe they've had a problem with losing their home or losing their job. And what are some ways that we can help our neighbors in these tough economic times? In today's show, we're going to talk to some people who have some services that may be of value to those people who are in need. And I'm pleased to introduce our first guest, Ryan Hertz from the South Oakland Shelter. Thanks for being on the show, Ryan.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Can you give us a brief overview of what your shelter provides?
Sure. Our shelter is a program that's been around for over 25 years now. It's a partnership between over 60 faith-based organizations throughout the southern part of Oakland County that provide emergency and transitional shelter services, food, and follow-up care, housing, and homelessness prevention services to people in need in our community.
Now, there seems to be a stigma, Ryan, that when someone says homelessness, they think of maybe a drunk on the street corner or someone who's mental illness that seems to be a nuisance around town, or they might think that someone who's homeless is a danger to their family. Is that an accurate stereotype?
I would say that it depends on the times. Right now, well, I would say it's actually not an accurate stereotype, even for people who are struggling with mental illness who are on the street. They probably aren't a danger to your family,
right.
and they very much are in need of assistance. But people that are looking for shelter right now, 78% of the people who've called us for shelter in the last year were homeless for the first time. And that's not the norm. In previous years, it was closer to 30 to 35%.
Okay.
So the economic situation that we're facing in our region is definitely impacting people's ability to sustain a quality of life.
Are you seeing more families coming to the shelter?
We are. We see probably about 50% of the folks that we serve are in a family.
Okay. Now, South Oakland Shelter, can you tell us a little bit about how the name evolved, and do you just serve South Oakland, or do you serve the whole county, or how does that work?
Well, South Oakland Shelter, and often folks know of us as SOS.
Okay.
We were founded by a handful of congregations in the southern part of the county, so the name sort of came from the geographic location of the faith groups that were coming together to provide the service. Okay. And they saw a need for emergency shelter for people. At first it was during the winter. We started as a winter program and became a year-round program within a couple years. And that was in the mid-'80s.
Okay.
So the name has stuck. We tend to go by SOS, but the people that we serve are from all over southeast Michigan. We
Okay.
even sometimes end up serving people who've come into the area and then were displaced from their home quickly after that. But we view everyone as assets. We don't want them to leave the area. We want them to come to Oakland County. We want them to come to our community, and we want to help them get settled in our community in a positive way, help them find housing, help them find work.
Now, is the organization tied to any particular religious affiliation, or is it a general nonprofit? How does that work?
The organization itself is not affiliated with any particular faith. Certainly, the faith of our volunteers, a lot of our staff, and our clients drives a lot of what happens for the people that are participating, but we don't require any participation in any sort of religious activities in any of our programs, and the congregations that serve our clients are of many faiths.
Okay. Well, let's look into that a little bit more. Let's tell us about the ways the different religious congregations in Oakland County support your mission.
Well, a great example of that is Congregation Beth Shalom, a conservative Jewish synagogue in Oak Park. Actually serves our clients during the Christmas week, because it's difficult for our Christian and Catholic congregations to provide that sort of service during that period of time. So that's a great way that a multi-faith initiative to work together. And at Beth Shalom, they provide a Christmas party and an environment for the guests to celebrate Christmas who'd like to celebrate Christmas. So it's a great way to show how people from different faiths can express their own faith and commitment to helping their community through our mission to reduce the impact of homelessness in Oakland County.
Now, when it comes to the different parishes, then, can you tell us a little bit about how that works with how they provide shelter and work with you?
Sure. Well, when somebody checks into our program, they come to our office.
Okay, and that's in
we're in
Lathrop
Village now.
Okay.
We previously in Royal Oak. We recently relocated, and they come to our office. They go through an intake process, and they're oriented to our program. They're introduced to a case manager, and that case manager helps them start trying to locate housing as quickly as possible. At our facility, they have access to food, they have access to laundry, they have access to showers, they have access to any of the basic needs they might need.
Okay.
And we also have a computer lab there now, for example, so there's a lot of different things that people can do at that location.
Okay.
Then in the evening, a group of volunteers transports everybody who's in the shelter program from our office to the congregation for dinner. They have dinner there, and they spend the night there. And then early in the morning, they're brought back to our facility, and from there are able to leave. Some of them are actually working while they're in our program,
Okay.
Or they're out seeking work or housing.
Okay. Now, in addition to providing shelter and the food, what are some of the other services you provide to the homeless?
Well, we provide career development and job training, things like resume building. We provide housing subsidies for folks that are moving into housing out of the shelter for short periods of time. And during that period of time, we provide follow-up care and case management to try to help them become independent. We do that for a year after they leave the shelter.
Okay.
And a great statistic that we like to brag about is that 70% of the people who come through our shelter exit successfully into housing. And of those that participate in our follow-up care program, 91% for the last year, or have 91% are still in housing after a full year of being in that program.
What are some of the examples of the housing that you might help place someone into?
Frequently, it's rental apartments for the most part, or house, or a small house.
Okay.
Generally.
Now, if someone is in need of assistance, they're watching here, and maybe they need help or they know someone that needs help, what should they do to contact you?
They should call our office at 10 a.m. Is the time that we schedule our intakes. Our intakes take a little while, so we try to schedule them all at once for the day. You should call our office at 10 a.m. The phone number is 248-809-3773. If they have questions about our program, they can take a look at our website. It's www.southoaklandshelter.org.
Okay.
And from there, they can contact us via email, give us a call, and we're happy to help people. We prefer they call us before they're homeless. If they're at risk of eviction, we'd rather them contact us then, because it's a lot more difficult to help somebody recover from the trauma of homelessness than it is to try to help them maintain their housing.
And are there things you can do to help them maintain their housing?
There is. We had prevention funds through contracts with the City of Royal Oak and through the county, and we also know of other organizations that have resources to help them maintain their housing if they're able to show that they would otherwise be homeless.
Okay. Say someone's watching and they don't need help, but they want to help. What can they do to help you out?
I would encourage them to take a look at our website. There's a really great video that a group of volunteers produced on our website, right on the homepage there. You could learn a little bit about us. This time of year, a lot of people are thinking about giving back. You can make financial contributions to assist people that are struggling in the community. You could do that through our website. You can give us a call. We could take credit card donations. We also take item donations to our office in Lathrop Village. If you have clothing donations, generally we look for things that are seasonal. So right now we're obviously looking for warmer clothing and things that people can wear when they're going out to look for work or going to the bus or whatever the case may be.
Do you ever need help with people providing transportation?
We do. It's usually coordinated through the congregation that's working that week, but frequently that congregation might need extra volunteer support. So we ask people to give us a call and talk to our volunteer coordinator at the office, and he can schedule opportunities to volunteer, whether it's transportation, whether it's coming in and helping people learn how to use a computer. There's all different ways that you can come in and help and assist people that need help right now.
Right. And, if there was one thing you want the audience to know about the homeless problem in Oakland County right now, what would you have to say?
I would say that it's not only the most humane and responsible thing to do to help people who are struggling with homelessness and to try to find a way to transition people from the street into housing. It's also economically the best thing for our community. We want people in our community. Everyone's an asset in our community. We don't want to displace people from our community. So I guess I would say, look at some of the research around homelessness. It's actually less expensive to communities to house people than it is to leave them on the street. And just for people to really think through your stance on how you feel about people who are struggling with this type of issue, and come visit our shelter and meet people and get a real sense of their story. It's not what most people think it is.
Right. Though I did initially mention mental health being an issue with homelessness, is there any services you provide to maybe screen or help people who may be suffering with that problem?
Certainly. We don't necessarily provide them through our agency. We work with a lot of different agencies in the community and a lot of different partnerships with organizations like Common Ground, for example, is a great example of an organization we work with around mental health, or Easter Seals is another one. And we have facilities that allow for case managers from mental health providers to come and work with our clients on site.
Okay, great.
So that's been really great.
Great.
And it's true that we have a problem with essentially a lack of housing for people who have mental illness. It's not only an economic problem, it's a blend. And there's really no clear-cut reason that you could blanket and say why homelessness happens. Every single person who we see has a different story. And I'm blessed to be able to be in the business of helping people who are in need find a new life, find a new quality of life, and move on. Hopefully hopefully quickly, and hopefully we're just a small, short, forgettable chapter in their life, and they move on.
Right, that's the goal there.
Yeah, exactly.
I know every case you deal with is important, but are there any specific, memorable situations that you're proud of since being with the shelter?
Oh, certainly. There's a gentleman who actually was struggling with mental illness a little bit, who was just the most kind, caring person. He came in and volunteered with us while in the program. We were able to help him find housing, and then it became really clear that he wasn't going to be able to provide for his own income. So we were able to help him secure Social Security, and then he spent a lot of time. He actually did find some part-time work. Spent a lot of time volunteering with us. Has become a close friend of ours.
Great.
And for the sake of confidentiality, I won't specify who he is. But there's definitely people that have stayed connected to us, and that we just feel so great about helping, and families too. I mean, when we can see people with young children who are otherwise going to be living out of their car, getting them into housing as quick as we can, and watching them reestablish their life, it's really powerful.
Well, just to wrap up then finally, where's your office located in Lathrop Village if people want to go there to get registered?
Oh, we're on 12 Mile between, we're essentially west of Southfield, on the south side of 12 Mile. We're west of Southfield Road, 18505 West 12 Mile Road. It's previously was the American Cancer Society office. We're there now.
And then what's your website?
It's www.southoaklandshelter.org.
And the phone number?
248-809-3773.
Well, thank you for sharing your time with us, and
really
we appreciate the hard work that you're providing to help some people who really are in need. So thank you.
Thank you for having me on the show, Tim.
You're watching Oakland Connection. I'm Tim Burns, and we'll be right back after this brief message.
Do you know that stroke targets by color? Odds are, if you're African American, you're twice as likely to suffer a stroke as white Americans. Know where you stand, because beating the odds isn't about winning, it's about living. Join the power to end stroke at strokeassociation.org.
I'm Tim Burns, and you're watching Oakland Connection. I'm pleased to be joined by Marshall Hunt from the Accounting Aid Society. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Tim. Good to be here.
So tell us, what is the Accounting Aid Society?
The Accounting Aid Society is a nonprofit. We provide free tax assistance to low and middle income families and individuals. We've been at it for almost 40 years now.
Okay. And why is there a need for this service?
Well, taxes are complicated, especially for perhaps low to middle income individuals who really can't afford to pay a tax professional. So we're there to provide that help.
All right. And tell us a little bit about the Ferndale office you work out of.
Sure. The Ferndale office is at 1956 Hilton, just north of 9 Mile. That's one of our 5 neighborhood tax centers. It's open year-round, so we can provide assistance anytime. If somebody has missed a filing deadline, needs help with a back tax return, we can do that. Okay. It's made possible with support by Bank of America.
Okay. And during the tax season, you have some other locations throughout the county people can go to for help too?
Sure. We have 20 locations throughout southeast Michigan. In Oakland County, we have Saturday locations at Lighthouse Community Development, OLSA Community Action Agency, and Pontiac Consumers Energy.
Right. Now, someone might be watching and going, well, why do they need free help? Why don't they go to HR and Block or a CPA or something? What's the purpose for your providing the service for free?
Yeah, well, we're reaching the low to middle income taxpayers who probably can't afford a tax preparation fee.
Okay.
We're trying to help them stretch their valuable dollars, help them build assets. Mm-hmm. At our neighborhood tax center, we also work with OLSA, a community action agency, to provide credit reports, assistance with food assistance applications, things like that.
Okay.
We do basic returns, so we're not trying to compete with the H&R Blocks or the CPAs.
Right. Now, if someone's low income, why would they even need to file a report in the first place?
Well, that's a good question. There's a lot of good credits out there. Some of them are refundable, meaning if you don't owe tax, you can still get a refund. For example, for a working family, the earned income tax credit can generate a refund.
Okay.
Also, there's state credits, the homestead property credit and the home heating credit, which are available to people who may not even be working. For example, somebody on SSI.
Now, when someone may come into your office for assistance, what's one of the first things you would look for them?
Well, we want to make sure we do an accurate tax return. So we want to make sure that they have all the documents needed for the return. We'd also want to have proof of identification and social security number. But beyond that, all the W-2s that they had, information about property taxes, rent, heating bills for the past year.
Okay. And your background actually was with the IRS. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's right. I had 34 years with the IRS. It was a fantastic career. I really enjoyed it. I was in the examination division. But eventually I had the chance to retire and become tax director at Accounting Aid Society. I had volunteered with them for 20 years while working at IRS.
So you know what to look for.
Oh, I hope so. Sometimes you don't know.
But I think what's great is you while you were working with the IRS, you volunteered for the Accounting Aid Society, right?
Yes. So I gave up just about every Saturday during tax season as a volunteer, and now I give it up as a staff member. So
your group really kind of revolves around the support of volunteers like when you were a volunteer, is that right?
We sure do. Last year we had almost 700 volunteers. Okay. They're all trained. They need to pass an IRS certification test. Okay. So quality is extremely important to us.
Do you need to be an accountant or a CPA to volunteer?
No, absolutely not. Of course, tax experience helps. Okay. We have a lot of accountants volunteering with us. Mm-hmm. We get great support from the Michigan Association of Certified Public Accountants.
Okay.
But anybody that's good with a computer, basically knows basic computer skills, can talk to people and learn some basic tax law, can volunteer with us.
Now, if they're interested in volunteering, you mentioned they have to take the test to get certified.
Yes.
Do you have any help with them getting prepared for that test?
Oh, absolutely. We provide all the training needed. We have classroom training, computer labs. We have online training options.
Oh, great.
So we want to make sure that the volunteer is prepared to take the test. And it's a test they do at home and then bring it in for grading.
And for what type of time commitment, once they are certified, do they normally volunteer with you guys?
Yeah, well, we like to have a volunteer give us 4 sessions at a minimum during the tax season, and that could be 4 Saturdays or weekdays or evenings. We have sites open 5 and 6 days a week throughout the tax season.
Okay. And when it comes to someone might be wanting to reach out and volunteer, how should they get in touch with you?
Well, the best way is to go to our website, accountingaidssociety.org. There's a big button there, Volunteer Now, and that starts the process.
Okay. And what type of community outreach are you doing to let people know about your services?
Well, we're doing programs like this. We have a good partnership with Fox TV2, newspaper articles. We get out in the neighborhoods, talk to community groups.
Okay. Now, you mentioned this is for low to middle income families to take advantage of this program. What is the criteria that you would use to determine if someone's eligible or not for your help?
Well, sure, that's important. For a family, it'd be $50,000 or less of household income.
Okay.
For a single person, $25,000 or less. Now, a family could be a married couple, but it could be somebody, just a single person with a dependent.
Okay. And again, how would they reach you if someone thinks they might need your services?
Yeah, we would ask them to call us at our toll-free number, 866-673-0873. And they can schedule an appointment at many of our sites. Some sites are first come, first served, but our Ferndale site, for example, is by appointment.
Okay. Now, the Ferndale location, again, is open year-round. So when the tax season comes and goes, what else do you do throughout the year?
Well, we're there during the summer and the fall. Things we do there would be catching up on back taxes. We also have home heating credits that aren't due until, well, we can file them anytime, but the deadline is September 30th.
Okay.
So we get pretty busy in the month of September doing heat credits.
Okay.
We also operate a low-income tax clinic, which helps people with controversies with the IRS. The key to resolving most controversies is getting returns filed. So we do a lot of that work in the summer, too.
Now, so for example, someone's contacted by the IRS and they're saying that they owe maybe some huge amount of money or there's some other issues going on. They can come to you and have somebody review that for them?
Absolutely. We have a good staff. We have an enrolled agent on staff that works strictly in that area, and she can help with installment agreements. There's other collection tools that she can use to help resolve issues.
If it actually comes to a point where there's some sort of administrative hearing, do you have anyone who'll go out and help out at something like that with the person, or is that...
Well, certainly. If there was an audit or a need to talk to collection, we can do that.
Okay. And is it the same criteria as for filing the taxes in regards to eligibility? For who can get that help?
Close to that. The clinic's services are geared to a 250% of poverty level, so it's close, but it's a sliding scale based on the family. So if anybody has a problem, they should give us a call and we'll take a look at it. We also have pro bono attorneys available in case we had to go to court on an issue. Right.
And do you have any examples of memorable situations of helping people that you're really proud of that you might want to share with the audience?
Yeah, well, many of the clients that we serve, they really need any refunds generated, and not all get refunds. Most do because they're lower to middle income. But even if they owe, we save them the tax preparation fees. But I'm thinking of a single mother who didn't have a car, was trying to work 2 jobs. She was able to get a tax refund based on the earned income tax credit to buy a good used car to be able to get to work. I recall a disabled veteran, and we do reach out to individuals with disability.
Right.
Disabled veteran wasn't aware that he could get a homestead property tax credit. He was behind on his property taxes, but interestingly, perhaps the Michigan homestead property tax credit is based on taxes billed. not necessarily paid. So we were able to get him 4 years of back property credits.
Okay. So you help out with both the federal and the state taxes?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And for those people watching who might not know what the earned income tax credit is, can you describe and explain that?
Sure. It's a credit based on having earned income. So first I have to have wages or self-employment income. If my income is low enough, I can get it without having a qualifying child. But if I have a qualifying child, and I don't want to get too technical, but it's basically under 19, under 24, and a full-time student, or disabled, then I can get that credit. There's income cutoffs and other criteria, but it's something people should look at.
Are there any other things that you really focus on with people like that?
Well, we want to make sure they get all the credits needed, and one thing is important. Somebody may have a W-2 with no withholding because they've got a number of children or low wages, but those credits are refundable, so they should look at filing that.
Okay.
We also look at make sure that people realize there are state credits and get their city taxes taken care of as well.
Okay. Do you help out at all with property tax appeals or anything like that?
No, we don't, but we do help get the property tax credit for families and individuals.
And if someone's having some issues with Social Security, do you do any advice or counseling in regards to those issues?
No, we're strictly tax preparation, and at our neighborhood centers we do things like credit reports and help with assistance applications, but not directly dealing with those agencies.
And if someone's watching this show and saying, you know what, I just don't think I need to file a W-2 or an IRS report or file my taxes, what advice would you give them right now?
I would ask them to contact us and see, because they might not have withholding, they might be below the filing thresholds for required filings, but they may be entitled to a refund that they just aren't aware of.
And do you give any advice to small businesses at all, or is it just limited to families and individuals?
We don't. We do in the sense that we do some sole proprietor returns at our neighborhood centers. We're limited in the issues we can handle, but we give advice. For example, we help daycare providers. If they come in for tax preparation, we have a planning guide that we give them to help them with their record keeping.
Great. And again, for more information, what's your website?
AccountingAidSociety.org.
And the phone number?
866-673-0873.
Well, thanks for sharing this information with us.
Thanks,
and appreciate the volunteer work you're doing in the community. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Tim Burns. You're watching Oakland Connection, and we'll see you next time.